So I don't know if I've said this to anybody on here or in a video, but the reason why I'm familiar with narcissism so much is because I've experienced it both inside my own family as well as other people on the outside trying to manipulate and control me for a long period of time, years and years and years. So I only was able to break free a couple years ago, and you would be surprised at what they threw at me. They threw the kitchen sink at me, so to speak. Everything in the kitchen sink to try and drag me back, because they know my value. They know what I can create. They know my spiritual energy. They know my capabilities of who I am as an individual. And I'm what you would call a diamond supply, right? They have energy supplies that they need since they're vampires. And so if you have an overabundance energy and you can have that energy drained from you, since you've got essentially a large battery, and you have the ability to draw the energy back in to you to refill that battery at a quick rate, you are what they call diamond supply, because your energy supply does not run out for them. And so they can stay young, youthful, happy, abundant, merely by siphoning off of you. And they know this, they understand that, and so they will just about self-destruct to try to get a diamond supply back in their life. Because when you lose someone like me and you're a narcissist, you start to fall apart, literally, from the outside. You know, you might end up with issues, scars, wounds, anything along the lines of that. So for me, I have a tendency of healing about twice as fast as other people. That's something that's an interesting thing. I heal much quicker than other people, according to essentially how well I take care of myself. And there's methods by which I'll handle taking care of a wound or my own cold or the flu or anything like that, and it basically cuts down my healing time in half. Well, I would say that one of the things about having been under the influence of a narcissist is the level of gaslighting, and the way that they'll try to take over your life, control you, make you into something that they want to use you as a tool, essentially. And they won't have any consideration or regards for what you want in your goals, dreams, or life. A lot of the time they'll only dangle that in front of you as a tool to manipulate you. Some of the time, if you give ultimatums to the point where you're like, no, forget that, they will capitulate and they will give you what you want. But it's difficult. You have to have boundaries. You have to set those boundaries firm. You have to stand strong. You have to let them know that you're in control of your own life. You're not their property, and that they can't treat you that way. And that they essentially need to, if they want you in their life, to treat you in a way that you deserve to be treated, with respect and dignity, and in an autonomous way, to where you can be your own person. A lot of people who, one second. A lot of people who end up under the influence of a narcissist will be abused. Their self-esteem will be knocked down to a point where they won't even defend themselves anymore. They won't say, "Stop treating me that way. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that." They'll just go along with the program. And at this point, they might have already been enticed into doing something that is held over their head. Now it might be something emotional. It might be something physical. Maybe they did something that was unsavory, kind of a seedy act, and maybe it got caught on camera. Or maybe they did something that was something that they had to do to kind of get in with the narcissist. Maybe an act, a behavior, something that would be considered unethical, something along the lines of that. And a lot of times a narcissist will do that with their flying monkeys. They'll make them do something bad, misbehave, something wrong, illegal, in order to get that person under their control. Fortunately, that never happened to me. I didn't get put into that position. But that's something that the narcissist a lot of the time will try to do, is that they'll try to entice people and trap people, put them under their spell, essentially. And then that way the person is under control. They're trapped, right? Even if they try to go against what the narcissist wants, they don't have that option, because they've essentially put themselves in a catch-22. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. So one of the things is that I had a family member a long time ago tell me that extortion doesn't work if you don't give a fuck. And that's very much true, in that if someone tries to take something from you, take money from you, try and force you to do something you don't want, if you don't give a fuck what the consequences are, or the way that they want to treat you, or scare you into doing what they want you to do, they really don't have a way of doing anything. So that's something that's very important to take in consideration when you're dealing with a narcissist, is that if they don't get their way through love bombing you in a positive way, they might try to attack you and do it in a negative way. And so that might be in an emotional way where they'll beat you down. They'll try to make you feel like your self-esteem is low and that your value is low, so they can get what they want out of you. And then if that doesn't work, sometimes they'll try to entrap you and you doing an illegal act or something like that, which in reality, that doesn't work. A lot of the times it backfires on them, especially if you're dealing with someone who's well-versed in the law or understands the way that the law works. And they put themselves into a bad situation a lot of the time too, because they have this overwhelming sense of grandiosity. So one of the things about a narcissist is that since they look at other people like objects, they don't look at themselves in the same way. They don't look at themselves like an object. They're like almost like a god in the way that they behave. You know, they think that they're a god. And that's what makes them such a problem too, is that people are just objects to be used and they treat themselves like a god. So, you know, they can essentially have the mentality of smiting people, walking away like nothing happened, not even thinking twice about the way, not even thinking about the way that they treated some other people, you know. And so you can have a large portion of people who essentially get thrown under the bus. Their lives are destroyed for the cause or purpose of a narcissist, and the narcissist won't even regret it. They won't have any sympathy, any emotion towards that sort of thing. It's essentially one of those things where they have completely pushed that sort of mentality out of their mind, because when they're looking at somebody that's an object, they kind of just put them on the shelf and hold on to them for a purpose or a cause later on. And that is essentially one of the most disgusting things I've seen in personality traits of human beings, is the way that they'll trap someone in their spider web, try and hold on to them and use them and abuse them, and then discard them and throw them away after they're done. So it's very inhuman in the way that they behave. I would say it's very inhuman. And that's why you will notice that in the way that they act and the way they behave is not very human. That's one of the things that you need to understand too, is that narcissists are kind of like a different breed altogether. That's why they're a few percentage of the population. They're kind of like the predators that prey on people. So you could say they're emotional and spiritual cannibals of the humankind. That's a good way to look at it. They're emotional and spiritual cannibals of the humankind, because they eat their own kind. They do. And if you see one, or if you figure out you have one in your life, you really want to distance yourself away from them as soon as possible. Either that, or make sure that you are not on the dinner menu, and that you keep your distance. You understand that you want to stay away from that person and keep yourself at a healthy distance from that person. It does a really good job to keep distance from a narcissist, to defend yourself as far as the damage that they can do in your life. One of my family members used to say about someone else is that he's like a tornado. The closer you get to him, the more damage that's done to you, right? So if you're in the eye of the storm, it might be calm, but what you need to know is that you're in the eye of the storm, and that the winds are coming, and you're going to end up with your house blown down. So that was one of my family members. He was quite a monster, I would say, and you know, he doesn't have any qualms about treating a person like an object and discarding them in the garbage when he's done. And I'm not going to say who that was, but I'm just going to say that narcissists have a tendency of looking at a person like an object, so they don't even care if the person's alive or not after they're done with them. A lot of them, they'll be able to just shut off that emotion, and they'll completely forget what they did to another person. That person might be no longer with us, and it doesn't matter to them because they got what they want. Anyways, that's kind of a quick synopsis, quick analogy of how a narcissist thinks and behaves, and things that they'll do to get their main goal, their job done. And so I would say that the conclusion is that you want to have strong, healthy boundaries. if you find out you have a narcissist in your life, you want to kind of detach and move yourself away from them. The best thing you can do is gray rock. You want to become as unappealing as possible, as unappealing and boring as possible to them, so they don't try to take anything from you, whether it be your personality traits, your ideas, your intellectual property, your mental state, your sanity, your property, whether it be anything you own, you know, your family, your friends, anything like that. So if you gray rock a narcissist, they become very bored very quick, and they will move on. It's kind of like the evil eye, and the evil eye moves on, right? The roaming eye moves on. That's a good way to think about it too. Do a good job of getting out of the spotlight of the evil eye by being completely boring and as uninteresting as possible. Anyways, I hope this video helps. Sorry for the sound in the background. It makes it so no one else hears what I'm saying when people are around. So anyways, have a good day. I hope this helps and helps you stay in a safe zone and away from emotional vampires.